Hi, it's Martyn and Steph here from the Daily Express, and we're outside number 10 Downing Street just waiting for the new cabinet to come along. They're going to meet at 12:30 on Tuesday, so it's pretty much 24 hours after Andy Burnham became Prime Minister, and we had some big news last night with John Healey becoming Chancellor.
Yeah, so that one caught a lot of people by surprise. The two names that had been touted really for the last few weeks was Shabana Mahmood and Ed Miliband, but that's not what happened in the end. It was John Healey who walked up towards the number 10 door first and who was ultimately appointed Chancellor.
Yeah, no one saw that coming at all, really. And John Healey, safe pair of hands, but he's got a lot to do. Andy Burnham's, got some big plans, although he hasn't told us yet. But it's going to need a lot of money to do that. So whether it's tax cuts or more borrowing, we'll see, or tax rises even, more borrowing. Big job for him.
And it's interesting because there's already a few rows brewing in the new regime, and really the fallout from the previous one, because Darren Jones took aim at Burnham over a new announcement this morning about cutting VAT on electricity bills. Now, I did think yesterday that amid the purge of Starmerites in Burnham's new government, that was going to leave a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I think that's what we saw this morning with Darren Jones coming out and saying the VAT cuts were unfunded. I think that's going to be a bit of a problem for Burnham.
Yeah, it was a huge, brutal cull yesterday of a lot of Starmerites, and yeah, you're right. So Darren Jones was straight out the traps this morning, studs up, criticising this big announcement that Andy Burnham's made. Also, it's a sign that things are going in the right direction, but it's not actually going to mean that much of a cut for consumers. There's going to be the energy price caps going up in October and in January. So this VAT cut from 5% to 0 is just going to take the edge off that, but you're not going to feel it so much in your pockets. And then there's the issue which Darren Jones was alluding to, is how is the government going to pay for this? They're scrapping Starmer's digital ID scheme, which cost about 1.8 billion, but that was unfunded, and they were already scraping around, looking down the back of the sofa for money for that. And Burnham's using almost £1 billion worth of that to pay for this policy. And
I think let's quickly also talk about the moving away of London-centric cabinet, because that seems quite historic here. Out of the big four offices of state, so that's Prime Minister, Chancellor, Foreign Secretary and Home Secretary, none of them are London MPs, which is quite interesting. And I think that plays into Burnham's plans for kind of devolution. But it is quite a cabinet that kind of skews up north.
That brings us nicely on to Ed Miliband, actually, the new Foreign Secretary. How do you think that's going to go down?
Well, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? It's a job that his brother used to have, David Miliband. So that's funny. But I think he's going to have to get comfortable with jet setting around the world and the carbon emissions that come with that. But I don't know. I think the White House doesn't seem too impressed, and I think that's a bit of a problem.
No, the White House are not happy about that. I think Miliband's got a history of anti-Trumpness, shall we say, and also going back into the mists of time. I'm old enough to remember the decision where he didn't back Obama's missile strikes on Syria back in the noughties, and that didn't go down well cross-party and on the international stage. So yeah, I think he's got his work cut out.
And we'll see a lot of people that will be arriving will be a lot of women who helped kind of bring Starmer down, really. Louise Hay has been rewarded quite generously. She's become the first Secretary of State. I think that's the title, and it's quite rare. But she is kind of the person that's been credited with winning the Make a Field campaign, which ultimately got Burnham back to being an MP.
What a comeback for Angela Rayner. Less than a year ago, she was turfed out of the Keir Starmer cabinet for, she had some tax affair problems, which she's now been cleared of. I remember we were all at the Reform UK conference, weren't we, when that was breaking and the story was down here. Big story at the time. But she's a Burnham ally, and she's back in the cabinet. And
back in her old job, because she was housing secretary, and now she's back to it.
We haven't seen Shabana Mahmood yet. She's stayed as Home Secretary, which is a vindication of vindication of her good work, really. The numbers of migrants, both illegal and legal, have come down massively in some places. 40% small boat crossings are down so far this year, which is a vindication of her stricter policies. But more work needs to be done, and Andy Burnham's kind of premiership could hinge on that, really. If illegal migration starts going up again, then he's going to get under pressure from the right, from Reform, from the Conservative Party.
There seems to be a bit of upset among Labour MPs on the left wing of the party over the decision to keep Shabana as Home Secretary. A lot of people were unhappy with her immigration reforms and making indefinite leave to remain 10 years from 5. And I think a lot of people had expected her to become Chancellor. That obviously hasn't happened. So I think there's some disgruntled moans on the left wing of the Labour Party.
I think that could be a shrewd political move by Andy Burnham, though, because migration is a key issue which could influence a general election.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no doubt the numbers have come down,
yeah.
And I think it's a shrewd move. Although, not, as you say, not necessarily popular within the Labour Party, the backbenchers, lefty backbenchers. So potential for friction there.
It'll be interesting to see where they have their first row and over what. Obviously, for Starmer, I think it was winter fuel payment that kind of started the first that we saw that real fracturing. Because initially, when they all came in, no one wanted to kind of talk to the Express, and they were putting on this united front. The second the winter fuel payment was announced, that all changed. So it'll be interesting to see what the thing is that potentially breaks that unity for Burnham.
Well, it was an absolute car crash from pretty much the first week, really, for the Starmer government. They, as you say, they whipped away the winter fuel payment, which infuriated pretty much every pensioner in the country, plus the Daily Express. And then they had, remember, they had the. We've got someone else coming now. And then they had the freebie scandal, and things just got worse after that, worse and worse. And then that took us to Rachel Reeves' first budget. Massive tax rises, snatched away introduced the family farm tax, and also national insurance rise for employers. So we think everyone is in now. The only one we haven't seen is Lou Haig, who is First Secretary. She's got 3 roles, actually, including First Secretary. She's Burnham's effective deputy. We haven't seen her, but we think everyone's in anyway. And they'll be in cabinet for possibly up to an hour and a half. Oh, here's someone now. It's probably Louise Haig. No, it's not. Lisa Nandy. Lisa Nandy, the Media and Culture Secretary. She retained her job. She's a friend of Burnham. They're from the same area. And so pretty much all in now. It's 12:30, and they'll be in for about an hour and a half. I would imagine there'll be a bit of table banging one at the top of the meeting, and then Andy Burnham, we'll see some photos as well, the green table, and then the cabinet all sat around, and we should get a readout in about 2 hours' time. I'm going to go over for a briefing in this building here, number 9 Downing Street, where we will have our first briefing with Andy Burnham's official spokesperson, and we can grill them on what happened in the cabinet meeting that's happening now.